Welcome to the bus.
Thanks for having me, man.
Let's start by saying then.
No, I can't have that. I can't have that. Right.
That was a good intro.
On the.
We've never done this before. I think this is I think that's a good intro. We should just laugh.
All right, go on.
It makes people think that you're not really miserable like normal.
So. Right, go on.
This is me on the road, the best podcast you'll know.
This podcast today is sponsored by Elland Brewery. I don't know if you can even see that. If you're watching this on YouTube, you will be able to see that we're drinking delicious beer. You're drinking, what one are you drinking? Nettle Frasher. You have such great... You're not meant to drink it into your lungs. Well, this is a great... This is a great first start to the podcast. Hello, my name's George Holliday. I'm starting a podcast where my guests die within the first 2 minutes and they choke on our endorsements.
That's quite. I think I got a bit down the wrong hole.
Did you?
It's really nice.
Does it taste good in your lungs?
No, it's really nice. It's proper lovely, but I got that down the wrong hole. All right.
Welcome to the bus, Isaac.
Thank you.
So, for anybody that doesn't know who you are, because I'm going to get straight to the point, you're a really unknown artist, and that's one reason I really wanted you to be one of our first people on the podcast.
Yeah.
Because our little motto is that we're not doing this to like try and be the best production company or anything like that. We want to be real.
Totally.
And I feel like you're the most real musician that I know. So I really am glad to have you on here. I think you're going to be able to give people a lot of value by being here. Any musicians that are watching this, that are in a similar position to yourself. So to give people an idea, you have just under 1,000 followers on all your socials.
Yeah,
so that's where you're kind of at.
Like 100,000.
Which I think is very what's the word? It doesn't represent your talent. And I'm not saying that just because you sat here. Well, I kind of am, but you know. Where are you from, for people that don't know?
Technically, I'm from a little village called Oxenhope in the Worth Valley in Yorkshire. But Yorkshire. But for
Yorkshiremen drinking Yorkshire beer in Croatia. So I haven't even told these guys where we are. We're sat in Split on the beachfront. Any background noise you guys might be able to hear of screaming children being dunked in the sea by their families, and we're quite literally parked on the seafront. Really beautiful location.
Beautiful.
So two guys that have lived in Yorkshire drinking Yorkshire beer.
Yeah.
All the way in Croatia.
All the way in Croatia.
So you're from Yorkshire.
Yeah.
How long have you been playing music?
I first picked up a guitar at 15. Excuse me. I'd always sang. I remember singing in primary school. I'd done kind of choir stuff. That's where I first experimented with music, and it was just singing. But it wasn't until I picked up a guitar at 15, and I kind of properly fell in love with it then. But then as a proper artist, there's Isaac Tyler, the artist, if you want to say that, probably around 2 years ago, maybe 2 and a bit.
2 years, which is crazy because you're 21 now?
21, yeah.
21 now, and anybody... I mean, at the end of this podcast, we're going to show a clip of what we filmed today because we've been endorsed by these Aston microphones. We've been doing a little video testing these out, and literally we just jammed something out, and the thing I love about you the most is that you're so raw. And in a first take, even if you're not necessarily happy with it, to everybody else, they're like jaw on the floor. So the fact that you've only really professionally been doing this for 2 years or so, just over, is bonkers. So how did it all start off? What was your first sort of kickstart into the music industry?
So my first kickstart was, if anyone's watching, they might know a YouTube channel called On Surfer.
On Surfer,
which is, if you can't tell, is a Yorkshire-based YouTube channel.
Aye.
Who primarily started off doing sessions with artists, so it would be quite acoustic sessions, stripped back, and I'd followed the channel for a couple of years, and just really liked the content they were putting up, and I just applied to do a session, so I went along and I did a session with him I was probably about 17, but it was just as I'd started to write songs, and I wasn't an artist then, I was just a kid playing guitar, really. And singing, but that was my first kind of break into music industry, because I then, through that, they set a label up, and then a couple of years down the line I worked with them, and then I signed with their independent label.
Yeah. So and you got some great views for that channel. You did
Yeah.
Feeling Good,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
how many views did that get?
There was a couple of different ones because there was on the actual session. I think it's probably about 11 or 12k.
Yeah.
But the I know the music crowns.
Yeah.
I think that hit about 25 or 26.
25, 26.
And that was the
Consider,
first
yeah, this
ever
is
thing
you
that
starting
went.
out.
Yeah.
So this is nuts.
And that was crazy because, I mean, yeah, it was great. And I remember looking at all like the comments on the music crowns one especially, because that was Facebook and people were, even then, like, it was a few years back, people sharing a lot on Facebook. And there was people from all over the world like sharing it and like tagging their friends and putting stuff in language they had to translate and stuff. And that was crazy because I'd not released anything, I'd done anything.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, this is
straight
weird.
away worldwide getting comments and
Yeah, it was cool, man. It was a great start.
So Aunt Sophie signed you up.
Yeah.
And what kind of deal was that? Like, talk to us about.
So I got a development deal for the first year really. So there was no deadlines. I didn't have to hand in any music of any sort. It was just like basically it was them acknowledging the fact I was a complete raw talent. I was a blank canvas in a sense. I had no idea when I want to go, but I was mouldable in a way, and I needed the time. And what was brilliant is they gave me the time to just write with loads of different people, and just experiment and just give me time to flourish as an artist. And then after that year, then a record deal, so to speak, kicked in. So it was right, now we're releasing music and stuff. And, so yeah.
So it's still quite a blurred line for me, but to any viewers and listeners that are on this, what's the difference? I think this would be really valuable to people that are looking for record deals, management deals. What is the difference between a record deal and a management deal? Record. Yeah, that was right. Record deal and a management deal.
Management. Well, a manager's like. So a manager's like completely just representing you as an artist, and.
So turning up to gigs, sorting out your finances,
all of that.
Finding new gigs as well.
If you'd have a booking agent and stuff, it's all of that. And it's just really representing you as an artist, and they will deal with you if you happen to have both. They will deal with your label as well. So they're technically, they should be completely on your side. Do you know what I mean? Because they're all managers will do 10 or 20% as well.
Yeah.
So it's in their own interest, but they should just be for you, the artist. Whereas a record label, they are releasing your music, so they own your masters of the music, and then they will put that out there, and their job is to promote that and finance the recording of that. And depending on what level you get at, you might get advanced with some, so they'd be like, here's a sum to
they're
live
rare
off.
now, aren't they?
Yeah.
So it used to be that artists would be given £100,000.
Oh, you get £100,000.
Spend 3 years, do an album.
Live off this, record the album.
What people never realised was that I didn't realise for quite a while you owe that money back.
Oh, totally, and you don't earn anything until you pay that money.
Yeah, so people go, I've just been given £100,000, or some people have been given £1 million record deal. You still owe that £1 million back. It's not like a gift of like.
If you were smart,
you'd
invest it in a property, or something that you could then sell. Do you know what I mean? So you wouldn't just go
fund yourself.
But you got to live off it. That's the thing. So you can't really just invest it all in a property because you get given £100,000, and that sounds like loads. Yeah, it's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, £100,000, but you got to live off that.
Yeah, and a lot of time these people want to live in London or New York or wherever, and then £30,000 a year actually sounds like a lot of money.
But it's not especially in the.
Not when you live in a big city.
Yeah, and the lifestyle and that
comes with it.
That comes with it, and that people kind of want to live up to and stuff. And it's tough. It's one of them. The kind of the record industry in that sense is weird.
Yeah.
I think.
So I think one thing that I always hear is that you should never really look for a management or a manager, or you should never really look for a record label to take you on. They will find you. That's the general rule of thumb that a lot of professional people have advised. What's your thoughts towards that? If you're a new artist,
I'd agree and disagree with some things. I think.
Do you think people are just too eager and that's why they want to find a manager, or do you think it's?
But I think a lot of people deservedly are eager because you get to a point, and I think everyone knows as an artist when you need that machine of a label or when you need the manager. And like for me personally, so I was very lucky early on that I got that kind of like independent label input. But like right now, as what day is it? What day?
Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday in August. First Saturday in August.
In July.
August.
Is it August?
Yeah.
Oh my days, time's flying by.
But I'm in talks with a management company about getting a manager now.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, it was kind of a bit of both. I kind of seeked her out as much as so I was actually first approached. She was talking at a seminar that I went to in Wakefield, and she was like from a management company, and I That's how I opened the dialogue.
So it was still a natural way of you weren't
natural.
online typing in music managers or
no.
trying to find people. It's still kind of natural.
It was still natural. It was a face to face kind of, and I just kind of
felt right
myself.
in the moment.
Totally. I mean, and that's not like a done deal yet, but that's something that when I get back from Croatia, where kind of we're having more meetings about and trying to set up, and I'm excited for that, and it'll be interesting to see. The different things that brings to the table, so that you got the label and the management and stuff, and I do think, to go back to your question about seeking them out, I think it's a bit of both. I think sometimes you will be seeked out, and sometimes you. I mean, what's the harm in if you think it's the right time just to send demos out and stuff, and you don't want to bombard labels with it, but it's worth a try now and then. I think.
For sure.
Yeah.
So. Kind of leading on from that, we were talking yesterday about social media. We were talking about actually the need of whether or not we need a label. You were saying that you really believe that everybody does need a label, even though it's kind of a fashionable thing. Everyone's saying you don't need a label anymore in this. I'm very much believing that social media is so powerful nowadays. And some artists that we know have had some great success online. And in theory, they could run their own stuff themselves if they had the power to if they have the commitment and energy to do it. Do you need a label anymore? And I was kind of saying no, you were saying yes, but say what you were saying yesterday, because it was really interesting.
I don't know whether I maybe have a bit of a blurred thing with it. I don't know, not blurred, but I'll just put my opinion out there, and I'm sure people watching will agree and maybe disagree with it. But for me, I think maybe 10 years time, you might not, depending on where the music industry goes, but there's just something about that machine of a label, and whether you like it or not, it doesn't necessarily mean it's an enjoyable experience for a lot of people. They do have the weight and they do have the money, and I'd love that if it was not the case, and you could just join a label if you wanted to, and you enjoyed the ethos of the thing. But I think we were chatting yesterday when we were chilling on the bus, and we were talking about who actually is, as a musician, a lot of people want to strive to be the best and the top. Who in that top bracket is killing it who doesn't have a label? And if you look at them statistics and you go, well, yeah, the statistics don't show that you don't need a label anymore. And kind of everyone goes on about the social media and Spotify and stuff and like playlists, and you can, but I mean, the truth is a lot of the labels either own the playlists or they have the contact with the Spotify guy who
the label. That's the biggest thing, isn't it? It's contacts.
It's contacts.
And labels have books of them.
And they have the top contacts that.
So I guess in a sense the thing that ties us both together, the little bridge between us both, almost like disagreeing in a way, is you could gain those contacts yourself. You could get a manager that has good contacts that isn't part of a label, and he's just sold.
The manager's an important thing for getting contacts like that. Definitely.
Yeah, so that could be a good little bridge. So I guess to anybody that's watching this, that's looking for, listening to this, I don't know where you guys are, but anybody that is wanting management or a label or anything, there is a chance they could do it still through getting a manager or acting as their own manager, but you're going to have to put in a lot of work. You're going to have to put in a lot of networking, working 16-hour days, spending your evenings writing and your daytimes emailing, or the other way around, or whatever. So I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is that both ways are possible.
Totally, but both ways are possible. Like I'm not
more than ever, and I think that's because social media's changed as well, and everything's affordable.
Definitely something I'd agree with. It's definitely more than ever. If you're ever going to not need a label, now is the best time you could do it. Definitely.
So for you, I guess it's financial, right? So you've got a job, you've got a side job. You work in a venue.
Yeah, I work in a music venue and a music shop. Yeah. So, I mean, quite nicely, it's kind of like a really nice kind of full circle thing. So the music shop, I used to get my guitar lessons and a bit of like vocal coaching stuff in there. Yeah. And then the venue that I work in is the first ever stage that I played on.
That's the Exchange.
The Exchange, yeah. So I work on the bar there, and I do some of the music venue stuff, and then I work in the shop. And yeah, I mean, it's just that is the that is the kind of the thing of an up and coming artist and stuff is. And it's funny because I will get people who are maybe slightly naive to music industry, and they're going to be because they're not in it. Yeah. Who'll be like, so how, you're doing all right now? Then it's like, you have no idea. Just because maybe I had a bit of Radio 1 player last year and stuff, and the singles. I haven't done massive numbers, but there was, a decent bit of interest in some stuff, and the Radio 1 play and stuff, and people, so you're doing around that? You have no idea. It's not like that.
It struggles so real, and this is the hard kind of bridge between the two, because in order to get somewhere, you've got to portray this, not necessarily in like a false way, like the ideal way is to be as honest as possible.
Totally.
But there's no point you sat there saying, oh, today I've had a really bad day, I've not managed to get any gigs or anything. You just want to be putting out, I've got a gig next week, I've got this and that. So actually, really, as an artist, you're only putting out the positive stuff. A lot of people don't see the negative stuff behind.
All the time.
All the time. And
but that's difficult to deal with, man.
Yeah, it's tough because you are a persona. You know, you hear it with celebrities. They're a persona out front. You only ever really hear the good bits, and when you hear the bad bits, it's because the newspapers and magazines are drilling it out.
But it is the truth, man. It's
almost a facade, isn't it? And it's hard to break down that facade.
And it's, I think, something you're good at is it's not a facade, in a sense. I mean, obviously, when you're feeling rubbish, you're not going to stick the camera on them. But, you know, I think there's certain people who are better than others of being honest and true. But it is it's tough, and it can be. I think it's one thing that can get you a little bit is that kind of not the fakeness, but just the whole thing of it, and just always aware that every post you do, you're trying to sell yourself in a sense, and you should probably not look at it that way, and actually just go, well, just be honest with people and post stuff. And it'll sell itself. Yeah. And that's the key.
And what's tough is when you're getting Radio 1 plays and your mates going, oh, you look like, you know, you're doing really well.
Yeah,
and really,
and everyone thinks
behind the scenes, you're getting 40 quid in your pocket. Or we did a gig together once, didn't we? And we were just supporting Lucy Spraggan.
Yeah.
And it was 30 quid back pocket, right? Just to cover your fuel from one place to
it was,
another.
You know,
and that's the reality of it.
That is the totally about, and that is not unusual. That's not like anything like.
I mean, the industry standard is £50.
Yeah, it's one of them, you know. Yeah, you've played keys for me for few gigs, and that was one of them, and I think the most.
It's got to be for love, innit?
Yeah, totally. Because the most we've ever been paid when you've played keys and I've done my music and stuff is, I think, 50 quid.
50 is probably the top. For a support gig. And but that's the reality of it.
It's fun and it's a good laugh, and it's.
So how have you found like funding yourself then? Because the gigs aren't paying that much on its own. I mean, £50 great if you're doing 5-6 gigs a week. You can survive off that.
But then it's getting the 5-6 support slots,
which is hard. You're not really nobody. I mean, the only person I've ever heard that gets that kind of numbers. Wow, there's a stunning yacht outside. I don't think you'll be able to see it.
There's been a fair few.
That took me completely off guard. Ed Sheeran gigged every day of the week, and he lived. And
the thing is, though, sorry to interrupt.
No.
But. And this is, I mean, his work ethic was just crazy. Yeah. But actually, when he first started and he was doing all them gigs every week, a lot of them were free open mics, actually. I remember hearing him say a little thing.
And he slept on the tube once.
Slept on the tube, but they were all free. He wasn't actually earning any money. And it wasn't until he got a manager and said, you need to stop doing all these free open mics. You need to start gigging. But he was like, but this is the way I live. I get fed and they'll put me up. Yeah. Like, if I pull out, and I'm doing one gig a week, how am I going to survive? And, you know, they worked it out, obviously. And he
quite nicely,
yeah. But, you know, and that's... But then he was clever about that, because I guarantee you when he was gigging around London, so if he wasn't, like, I'm playing a free open mic tonight, he'd be like, I'm at this and I'm at this, and he'd do, like, 3 in a night.
Yeah.
And he was just in people's faces all the time. And he was selling CDs out of his backpack and stuff, and it's just like, you've got to be like that. I think you've got to have that.
You've got to have a work, you've got to have a drive, because if people don't believe... I don't think people believe in you if you don't show your drive.
No.
I think that is the key thing. I think that's what people buy into. They want to buy into the journey. They want to follow what you're doing. And for them to commit to you, they want to know that you're really committing to yourself.
Totally, man. Totally.
And that's something that I want to bring around to social media with you, because we were talking yesterday, and 6 months ago you were saying you really woke up to social media and how important it is.
Yeah, I think...
How are you dealing with like keeping up with social media? Because it's such an important thing that you've got to really do.
Yeah, I think there was a few reasons why I maybe woke up to it, and I think one of them was I mean, the music industry is tough, and it's up and down, and it is a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah.
And especially when things aren't perfect, it's very easy just to go inside yourself, and then you're not thinking about getting the phone out and filming stuff and trying to be enthusiastic about stuff, and that's tough. But you've got to be, and also you've got to. What I realised after after kind of only 6 months ago, when it's there was things kind of, and it was like you're not questioning anything at all, but it's kind of like it's tough and it's a slog and you've got to keep going. Actually getting the phone out and getting on the social media actually helped me, and then I realised how much it was important.
Yeah, so physically you saw the difference.
Actually, only for me, going just get out and film some stuff and do some stuff.
Yeah,
and it helped me just get out of a bit of a rut in some places. And also, then it is just so important just to keep at it.
It's where the attention is. I mean, I know so many people, musicians, and it really frustrates me. Not because it's any of my business, but just because I feel sad that they're missing out on such a massive audience. I know people that have taken themselves off Instagram and Facebook because they're just like, I don't want to be involved in it. And I'm thinking, your whole audience is there other than the odd gigs you're going to do. And even when people see you at a gig, if you're not online, where are they going to go? They're not going to take your business card and email you.
It's really tough because I think when you get massive, you can have that luxury of just pulling off social media. It almost plays to your advantage. You're a bit of a mystery.
Or you hire a team to do it.
Yeah,
you.
Exactly.
About it.
And I totally get why people don't want to do it, but yeah, it's just like
the thing is that when people are massive, they don't do social media themselves because other people are putting them all over social media. So that's the difference, I guess. It's like, Ed Sheeran, I've never seen him post a story. I don't really follow his posts or anything. Well, I don't follow him. I always hear about him because everybody else is posting about him and everyone else is pushing him. So you don't need to, in a sense. But if you're a young artist, and this is something I really want to put to the followers,
because you're the only one who's going to be starting to push you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And how are you going to find a manager if you can't even prove to them that you're committed to yourself?
Totally.
And that is where the eyes are at the minute. Even grandparents and even grandparents full stop are online now, just looking at everything. So it's not like half of the world isn't necessarily on it. I remember when social media started and my parents were like, I'm not interested. I'm never going to get Facebook and whatever.
I remember the day I signed up to Facebook.
Yeah,
do you remember it?
Do you remember
because I was just too young for like the MySpace and Bebo kind of phase. And I remember Facebook, and I didn't have I remember I didn't have MSN.
Yeah,
it was like, what's your addy, mate?
Dial-up.
Well, see, I'm a little
5
younger
minutes
for
after
that.
school.
I don't remember dial-up and stuff. I remember of it, but I was just at the end of that.
Yeah.
I remember the first kind of social media thing I signed up to was Facebook. And it's so weird how, like...
It is, because, parents, I remember I used to sit at the dinner table and my phone would be out or whatever, and parents would be like, put your phone away. And now, if the phone goes off, it's often my parents' phone that's going off and they're sat there running that. So it's time to change, though. But, I think it's so important to be on socials. And I think anybody that doesn't want to do it, they're either consciously making a decision and accepting they're not going to get the exposure.
And that's fair enough.
Absolutely
that's cool.
fine.
Work with
Fully
that
down for that. Yeah. But those people are hopefully accepting that they're not going to get the exposure. But, I mean... I still think they're bonkers. I think, I put a lot of my life online, and I get people wouldn't want to go to that kind of level. But if you're an artist and you want to get your name out, you want to get your word out, it's the place to be.
And you kind of deserve it. You owe it to yourself, and that's the one thing I think I came to terms with, because I actually took a step back and went, well, why wouldn't you? And you owe it to yourself because you put all the work into the music with the music, and if you're not going to post it online, or not post it online, but if you're not going to push it and be innovative on social media, and just try to you don't need to try to be different, but just give yourself a good chance and just be fair to yourself and just post enough and just I
don't see it. Most people are releasing their music now through social medias. Or I even see Spotify as a social media now. It's like
kind of is really.
It's not technically, but people use it in the same way. They use it the same amount. So. It's just where the attention is. So one thing I think you've been really clever with your writing, and this is another reason why I wanted to talk to you big time on the podcast, because a lot of the people that do follow the YouTube and various other things I do on Instagram are songwriters themselves, or they want to be songwriters, and they're always asking for tips and things like this. You've tapped in a very clever way because you've been writing with people that have a presence. For example, the first person that comes to my mind is Ella, and the next song you're hoping to release is with Ella Grace.
Technically we didn't actually write that together.
Yeah, so what was the story? Because you were trying to tell me this yesterday and I didn't quite understand.
So I wrote that with Olivia Broadfield,
who's
a really good songwriter, and she's done some really good stuff. She wrote, if anyone knows Billy Martin, she wrote Bird with Billy Martin and stuff, but she's been responsible for some really cool songs. I can't quite think of them off the top of my head, but anyway, so I went to her house. And it was one of the first... I think it was the first co-write. No, it wasn't. It was the second co-write I'd ever done. And we just wrote it, and it was a really nice song, but it kind of sat on the shelf, but I didn't quite really know where it was supposed to go with me. And I'd recorded versions of it, and I really liked it, but it was just not quite right. It wasn't. And I think I was with you. I think we were writing when I got... so Ella's on the same label, as me.
On
Ella Grace is her artist name. It's Ella Grace Denton. She's known as, and she's
she's
got big on
200,000
yeah.
followers
She's
on
big on
Instagram.
Instagram and stuff, and she absolutely nails it. And she's got a really good community of people behind her. And she's delved into music in the kind of the last year or so, and I think she'd always kind of dabbled and stuff, but she's really kind of gone with it, and she's fantastic. And she just recorded some vocals on that song when she kind of like finished up in the studio, and I think they were kind of like, do you fancy just sticking like some vocals on this?
So it was natural. It wasn't like, oh, there's a name in the room, let's get her on the studio.
It wasn't any of that, and I think like I would never want anyone to ever think that was the case as well, because
I think people can sniff it, can't they?
Yeah, people do sniff it out, and I think it was not that it wasn't my idea in the sense of like, but it was like it just happened. It was just like just stick some vocals on this. It might sound nice. And then when I heard it, I was like, this song makes sense now.
Yeah.
It just clicked. It just totally clicked, and it is honestly, it's one of the most proud I've been of a song. Really, one of.
It is a beautiful song. I can't wait for people to hear it.
I love it, man. I really love it, and it's hopefully this year. I mean, we need to work out the right campaign for it, and we really need to nail the campaign for it. But I love it, man. I'm really proud of that song. And Ella,
it's beautiful, and
she sounds fantastic on it. Like she absolutely nailed them vocals on it and stuff. And
But name some of the other people you've written with. I mean,
it's cool, man.
Dunwells.
So that was the first ever co-write I ever did.
Yeah.
The Dunwells, and I wrote my first single with them, and I've written a lot more with them. But my first ever single that came out was with them. Lucy Spraggan I've written with a fair few times.
Yeah.
And she's absolutely. She's one of them songwriters you learn from.
Yeah.
Like you see them
Sit
do
in the
little
room,
things
take
and go,
it all in.
I wouldn't have thought of that. Just little hooks, little melodies.
Uh-huh.
And what I really respect about her as a songwriter, she knows what she wants as an artist. So obviously when we're writing together, she's thinking of me in mind for like the songs, but like you listen to her songs and she just knows exactly what to do and be true to herself, and she just knows what she wants. So there's Lucy, there was Erwin, who was the lead singer of the Hoosiers. People obviously know
Lovely
the Hoosiers
guy,
and stuff.
really funny guy.
Because of course, yeah.
I
met
interviewed
him,
him very, very briefly.
I mean, he's just like he's awesome, man. Like he's just got so much energy, and he's just he's just
tiny as well.
Yeah,
I wasn't expecting to be so small.
yeah,
Lovely guy.
mate, he's awesome. Like I remember being like a tiny bit nervous, kind of going in with him because I was still quite young. I think I was probably like just maybe.
I used to
turning
buzz off him
19.
at school. I was like,
Mate,
goodbye,
honestly,
Mr.
the amount
Ray.
of mates I had
Worried about
messaged me
Ray?
after that. Honestly, we're just like, mate.
I mean, that's a
goodbye,
bit.
Mr. Ray. Like,
Do you know what I mean? It's a big co-write that,
Huge,
and that's
man,
why I
it's
think
cool.
you've been clever, but not because you've been tactful. You've just written with the right people,
Yeah, totally, man.
and you've got like now a bank of songs that you're sitting on now, ready to release. It's not like you've got nothing in the bank,
No,
or
that's
you
true.
sat there. Sorry, I keep looking at the camera.
yeah,
'cause
I'm looking at it too.
when it
because
goes to 30 minutes, that's going to stop, and I'm going to have to jump forward
I'm
and
looking for
start
that
it
red
again.
light, bro.
So you've written with some clever people, and I wanted to ask you what your sort of biggest tip is in terms of getting into songwriting. Sort of, was it the label that set you up with those people?
Yeah, I mean, so when I did my On Surface session, which was how I then got with the label, I did a cover of Feeling Good, and then I'd pretty much written my first proper song, and I went in and I wanted to play an original because I just wanted to. I was aware that it'd just be cool to play an original, and so I was just aware it'd be cool to play an original, and a lot of people were doing covers on the channels and stuff, and I just wanted to do that, but I didn't have the second verse for the song, so I kind of went in and I kind of just made it up a little bit and just kind of jammed it out. But I was just, so that's like the first time I'd written, so I'd kind of just started writing them. But I mean, the songs were good for my age, but they're not good now. Do you know what I mean? You look back at them and you go, it's just a very basic song.
It's moved on, different place.
So that's how I started writing. So I was kind of a singer-songwriter then, but I still had so much to learn about writing, do you know what I mean? And still do. I think everyone always has something to learn about writing. But
I don't think it ever stops, really.
no,
I think even.
no.
I'm trying to think of a name off the top of my head. Frank Sinatra, who's still here, would still be learning writing and
But
stuff.
this is the thing, and that's what's beautiful about it. I think that's what's beautiful about it. I think because you never really stop learning the art of songwriting. I think people get fantastically good at it, but I think it's also as a songwriter, it's quite easy to get frustrated because you're not writing fantastic songs again and again and again. So like your questions like tips and stuff for writing and stuff, I think just everyone says it, but you've just got to keep on writing.
Just keep doing it over and over, like anything.
Yeah,
Absolutely, like
it
anything.
is. It's just repetition, and I got to first. Every song I wanted to write, I wanted to be better than the last one. It's not going to work that way. You'll write a great song, and you might write 40, and then the next one,
the next good
decent,
one,
and that's just what happens. And also the top level, your top writers are like that too. They have good at it, but they have that too. Not every song they write is going to be a number one.
I literally saw a post this morning from a writer that did she did a Jessie J song, I think it was. No, Jessie Ware song.
Oh, right, yeah.
And she posted this morning saying she's in a big rut, she can't write, she's trying not to kick herself, and it's hard because that's when
really hard,
they write a block, and then if that's what you do, this girl I saw this morning, she is a songwriter, that's her thing, and for then her whole work life to stop because she's in a rut, that's a tough thing. So awesome. Well, I want to round this off very quickly now. Well, it doesn't have to be quickly, but I've got one more question to ask you. Just before we get to that final question, if anybody wants to see any of Isaac's stuff, if you go over to our YouTube channel, I will put the links to all of his stuff. We've actually, today, filmed another little video cover. We're listening to a Post Malone song, and Isaac just said, should we just get it down? And we just literally stuck a camera with no high-end production at all on it. It was just a camera
cool, man. I really enjoyed it.
Really fun. And that's what I love doing the most of you, is just off the cuff doing stuff. We don't do well at planning too much, do we?
Oh, be unfair to ourselves. We write a lot of good songs.
We do.
Although
we'll spend 3 days together.
Off the cuff, actually.
Yeah, they are. The ideas. But I think that's where the best. That's why I enjoy my time with you, because we never know what's going to come out of a session. When you came to Croatia, we got a rough idea on what we were going to come out with, but
it's just like, you just go with the flow. You just run with it.
And that's the best way life is. So go check out Isaac's stuff. He's got another song coming out this year. He's got stuff on Spotify, iTunes. So all Isaac Tyler is your guy. Thank you so much again to Ellen Brewery for the beers. I realise I've been a really bad host. You've not had a drink. Have you finished yours?
Yeah, I've finished mine.
Oh gosh, you've had 15 minutes where you haven't had a beer in your hand.
It's nice, man. I've got...
Get a dribble. Last warm dribble. Mine has warmed up a little bit, sadly. Okay, so back to the question.
Okay.
Big question. Prepare yourself. If there was one way you could change something in the world for the better, what would you change?
That's a hard question.
I know, and I nearly messed up my own question as well.
If there's one thing I could change about the world, how it is, I think people need to treat other people better. I think that's the one thing. I just think, there's so much stuff going on in the world, and then you have just stuff like racism and discrimination and stuff, and that's the one thing I change. Just people not being treated as human beings, and people not treating each other with respect, and just treating each other as human beings, man. The world would be such a better place if we all just say, should we just get along? Do you know what I mean? And most people get along on the whole, do you know what I mean? But if people just should we just be nice to each other
just a little bit
all
more.
The time, though, how wicked would that be? So if I was going everyone was nice to each other.
That would be a thing. And that's why you're such a blooming lovely guy. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Everybody that is listening to this podcast, whether you're watching it, whether you're listening to it, I need to get used to that, because this is audio now. I keep saying watching.
You said the first time you said.
Oh yeah, I did, to be fair. If you are listening to this on the Anchor podcast, Anchor is the app, it's the website that we release these podcasts through. So whether you're listening to them on Spotify or iTunes, you can head over to the Anchor podcast and you can leave a voice note as a question. So each week from now on, I'm wanting to I say week, I don't know if these are going to be regular weeks so far. I want to wait and see what the response is, but you can leave literally like a voice note to ask a question to whoever is going to be on the bus next. And the exciting thing about it is you guys don't know who that person is going to be. So whether it's about their experience on the bus, whether it's about them as an artist, or a general question that you like asking and finding out about artists, leave a voice note. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment as well. We will say your name. But if you can get over to the Anchor podcast, we can then play your voice note in the podcast, which I think is pretty cool.
Genius.
Yes. So also, I want you to ask a question on the Anchor podcast.
Well, I have to think of it
on
now.
The Anchor, I don't know if it's the Anchor podcast, Anchor app.
Oh, I don't have to think it now.
You have to think about it right now. But I will ask that question to our next artist that is on the bus. And,
great idea.
I will speak to you guys next week. Isaac, thank you. I nearly called you Anchor. Isaac, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming out to Croatia and joining us. I really enjoyed that chat, and I hope everybody listening did as well.
Yeah,
and
me,
we will see you guys soon. Thank you for listening. This is Made on the Road.
stay.